And a very big welcome back to Reality Bites. I just have to acknowledge that it has been a little while in between these episodes. And if you can remember back, we've been exploring the 7 Hermetic Principles of reality. And we are here finally after just a wee break. And I have to just admit that due to a bit of life circumstances and the fact that for a while there, I didn't have a working computer, and I intentionally took a little bit of what they call these days a social media and almost being online kind of fast, if you will. It's just a break. And just to touch on that very briefly before we dive into the final episode of this series, and if you're still with me, well done. Well done. So yeah, it took a little bit of a break. I had a real strong message or thought or even voice in my head saying, stop, you got to stop engaging with social media for a while. And I think I will do another kind of, another podcast, a little sort of explanation of some of the things that I have discovered from having that break and creating space from your mental space, which is very fitting because remember, the first principle of mentalism is all is mind, which we can say basically is consciousness. And I've just been over the last few months, I think it's been about 6 months since we last did a Reality Bites episode. And what I've discovered more and more is that I'm fascinated by consciousness and awareness and how we actually create reality. What are our thoughts? Where do they come from? What's the conditioned mind? What's our subconscious programming? How do we operate from a belief system? Are we just constantly in perpetual reactive mode and recycling conditioned thoughts? It's fascinating, I tell you, because when you start doing the inner work and creating the space and just being aware and witnessing your thoughts, you understand that these thoughts, these almost energetic thought forms, elemental thought forms, are actually creating the response in your body and your emotional body, how you feel. In other words, how you create reality, how you interpret reality, your perception of reality. How freaking amazing is that we get to experience reality, but what is reality? And man, going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I want to really explore the fundamentals of reality. And maybe reality is far weirder and crazier than you can ever imagine. And maybe it is more complex, and maybe your reality is so vastly different to other forms of life on this planet. Anyway, I'll leave it there and we'll get back to our Hermetic Principles. So yeah, welcome. This is the 7th and final episode of this 7-part Reality Bites series, featuring and exploring the 7 Hermetic Principles as told in the Kybalion. And if you know, you know, these teachings can be dated back 5,000 years or thereabouts. Who knows? Who knows what the history really is? But basically, it was a branch of spiritual philosophy that has influenced both ancient Greek and Egyptian cultures. And it is known as Hermetic wisdom. And of course, we've been exploring the 7 principles. And just to recap, there's the principle of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and lastly, gender. So the principle of gender states, gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. So the 7th principle states that all things have their masculine and feminine qualities. Yes, the two sexes can be thought of as the physical manifestation of this principle, but as we are coming to understand on an internal level, all of us hold both of these energies. And as the principle states, it manifests on all planes, so in higher realms and higher levels of, I suppose, energy. So the word gender is derived from the Latin root meaning to beget, to procreate, to generate, to produce. Isn't it fascinating how I'm also fascinated with the root sort of meaning, if you like, of words, the spelling of words, the origins. And once again, this kind of knowledge you need to research for yourself. And we obviously create these belief systems by taking on board information, and who knows if that information is correct. But I always recommend that you discern with your own inner judgment and try to go beyond your programming and not to listen to the noise outside, but to tune in to your inner wisdom. So we can look at the two energies. Okay, if we go down this path of energy. Feminine energy can be seen as magnetic, calls things in, it's allowing, it's attraction, it's attraction, it's magnetism. The feminine is receptive, sacred, treasured, protective energy that maintains tradition and honors the priority of what is most important while nourishing that which is most essential to life, the nourishment of life itself. Think of, often this earth is called Mother Earth, which is what happens on planet Earth, right? It's full of life, right? It's a crucible of life. So I'll let you ponder on that. Okay, so the masculine energy can be seen as directive, creative, outward production, making things happen, taking action, right? Us guys, we like to fix things. We like to figure things out. We like to be useful. So the masculine can also be seen as penetrative, assertive, progressive, conquesting, explorative energy that drives progress. So you get a feel for those energies, right? And in this principle, all beings contain this within them as two parts. So every male has feminine energy and every female has masculine energy. And so it's a little bit like, I suppose, often we describe, the male sort of energy is more logical and more thinking, as the female is more intuitive and seen as more emotional, right? So that's just something to ponder on as well. And I love that these two energies are almost seen as foundational for creation. I think this is what this principle is trying to get at, that the masculine of thought and action and the feminine is seen as magnetism and coming from an emotional body. And when you have these two energies combined, that forms the alchemy, if you like, for creation. So it reminds me also of this amazing Native American tradition, it's this idea that the wings of a bird symbolize these two energies of masculine and feminine. So each wing is important for the balance and harmony, and together they give rise to this motion and creation. So I love that analogy of the two wings symbolizing the feminine and masculine energy. So to recap, feminine allowing, masculine creation. It's a dance. It's a creative dance. And it's a spirit-led dance. So you can think of this dance, right, as a movement and a connection to divine, to source. So it all comes back to that energy, right? The yin and yang energy, the left and right brain. And just curiously, the left brain is connected to the right eye, and the right brain is connected to the left eye. And there's got to be that sort of harmonious balance and connection in order to sort of create that wholeness, if you like. So there you have it. that's a very short description of the principle of gender. So once again, I really recommend that you observe these principles in your day-to-day life, in your reality, and see how they manifest. And just be curious as to your own thoughts surrounding the principle of gender, or cause and effect, rhythm, polarity, vibration, correspondence, mentalism. So I really hope you've enjoyed these short introductions to the 7 Hermetic Principles. I hope that you found it valuable in some form, that if anything you take away is the idea that reflection and contemplation on how you create your reality ultimately is so beneficial. I mean, why do we even do this? Well, because we have awareness and we have a life. And I believe that most of us are looking for the same things at the foundational level in terms of wanting to be healthy and wanting to have connection and wanting to experience the rich, full spectrum of life, whatever that means to you, to have a fundamental purpose, to know thyself. So thank you so much for listening to the 7 Hermetic Principles of Reality series. I would love you to look back and listen to the previous principles or the previous podcasts. And until then, I really look forward to diving deep into some other amazing topics and discussions of your reality. So till then, I guess, be well.